The sky above Sector R-29 was dark red. Dust storms moved slowly across the dead land. Old ships, broken tanks, and forgotten weapons lay buried under sand and silence. No one lived here. No one should. They called it no man's zone. But today, two people walked through it. One human, one alien. Thalen, a human soldier, wore dusty armor and a half-damaged helmet. His steps were slow, careful. Every sound made his hand reach for the pulse rifle on his back. Beside him walked Varel, Anne New, alien diplomat trainee. She was tall, with light blue skin and eyes that glowed softly. She wore a white robe, now covered in dirt. She didn't belong here, and Thalen knew it. "You don't talk much," he said, without looking at her. "I was not trained for small talk," she replied. He glanced sideways. "You were trained for peace, right?" She nodded once. Thalen muttered, "Wrong planet." Their boots made soft crunching sounds as they moved over cracked earth. Between the rusted metal and forgotten bones, the air felt too quiet. Thalen's scanner beeped once. "Careful," he said. "Ground's wired, old traps, step where I step." Varel nodded again. For the next 10 minutes they moved in silence. Thalen walked ahead, checking every step, marking safe zones with his boot. Varel followed his path, exact and precise, until a small, quiet click echoed under her foot. Thalen froze. Varel froze. She didn't look down. She didn't move. Her voice trembled. "That was not you, was it?" Thalen turned slowly. His face went pale. "You stepped on a pressure mine." She didn't breathe. "Will it explode?" "Not if you stay still." She whispered, "I'm scared." Thalen looked around. The area was unstable. They couldn't call for help. Into signal was jammed, and this mine wasn't standard. It had alien tech. Smart mine. Motion triggered. No countdown. "You move," he said quietly. "You die." She swallowed hard. Her legs were shaking now. "I didn't mean to. I thought I stepped where—" "It's okay." He cut her off. "It's my fault. I should have watched closer." He stepped toward her slowly. Each step was slow and steady. He reached into his pocket and pulled out a small metal wedge. "I'm going to replace your foot with this, but I have to move fast. I can't lift my leg." "You won't." "I will." Varel's eyes filled with tears. "No one has ever risked themselves for me. Why would you do this?" Thalen didn't answer right away. He looked at her, scared, trembling, alien, alone. "Because if I don't, you won't get to finish what you came to do. And maybe your mission will stop the next war." He dropped to one knee beside her, hands steady, breath slow. She looked down. "You're shaking." "Yeah," he smiled. "Doesn't mean I'm stopping." He counted softly. 3, 2. He shoved the wedge under the edge of her, boot, and then, boom. The blast was sharp, violent, fast. Varel flew backward, so did Thalen. Dust filled the air, sparks and fire rained down. Silence followed. Then, she coughed, her ears rang, her eyes opened. "Thalen?" No answer. She crawled through the smoke. Her body burned but not broken. Then she saw him. Thalen lay on the ground, blood on his chest, armor broken, but still breathing. Barely. She fell beside him, tears running down her glowing cheeks. "You saved me." He opened one eye, smiled weakly. "Told you it was a smart mine." The sky was filled with smoke. Ash drifted through the air like broken feathers. Varel sat on her knees, her hands shaking, staring at the human who had just saved her life. Thalen lay still on the cracked ground. His chest plate was half melted. Blood leaked from his shoulder. She leaned close. "Thalen, can you hear me?" His eyes opened just a little. "Still alive, I think," he whispered, then passed out. Her heart pounded, a feeling she didn't fully understand. She wasn't trained for this. In her culture, pain belonged to soldiers. Sacrifice belonged to old stories. But this This was real. And it was for her. Within minutes, a rescue drone arrived, black and silver marked with the Alliance symbol. It hovered silently, scanning the area. Alert. Critical human injury detected. Beginning medical extraction. 2 small medbots floated, out scanning Thalen's wounds. Multiple fractures, deep burns, internal bleeding. Varel stepped in front of them. Will he live? The drone replied, flat and cold. Unclear. Transporting him now. Civilian clearance required. You must stay behind. She raised her voice, something she had never done before. No, I'm going with him. The drone paused, scanned her face. Request accepted. Inside the ship's medbay, white lights hummed above Thalen's unconscious body. He lay on the table, tubes in his arms, oxygen across his face. His armor had been cut away, his skin was bruised and burned, but his face looked calm, peaceful. Varel sat beside him. Her robes were torn, her hands still dirty, her heart heavy. She stared at him for hours, not moving, not speaking. She remembered his words right before the blast. Maybe your mission will stop the next war. Why would he care? Why would he jump to save her? Why would a human risk his life for an alien trainee? She didn't understand, but she wanted to. Later, a medical officer entered. A tall woman with a soft voice. Are you his partner? Varel shook her head. No, he was just my escort. The officer smiled gently. Well, he did more than escort. He shielded you with his whole body. I've seen people do that for their own children, never for a stranger. Varel looked down. A strange warmth filled her chest. Not pride, not duty, something else. The next morning, Thalen's eyes opened. Slowly, he saw her first. You're still here, he said weakly. She nodded. I haven't left since you fell. He coughed once. Good. I'd hate to waste that kind of pain for nothing. She moved closer, softly said, Why did you protect me? He looked at her, eyes full of pain and something else. Because you mattered in that moment. You looked scared. I've been scared too. No one helped me then, so I helped you now. She touched his hand. Not with fear, with quiet care. I've never seen someone bleed for me before, she whispered. He gave her a small smile. Get used to it, humans are weird like that. That night while he slept, she sat near him again. She looked at his scarred body and whispered, You could have let me die, but instead, you made me feel alive. Far away, in the command center of the Alien Council, a report flashed across a glass screen. Human soldier injured while protecting Valari diplomat. Survivor, Varel. Status, emotionally compromised. A gray-robed elder narrowed his eyes. End this before it grows. The recovery room was quiet. White lights glowed softly above the bed. Medical monitors beeped slowly, like the rhythm of a tired heart. Thalen lay still. His left arm was wrapped. His ribs were bandaged. One leg was suspended in a support frame. He didn't speak much, but his eyes were always watching. Varel sat in the chair beside him, her back straight, hands folded. She had not left the room in 3 days. She refused to. Every morning, a nurse would come and ask, Would you like to rest? Now, she would shake her head. I'm not tired. But she was lying. Inside, she was full of guilt, confusion, and something worse, shame. It wasn't just that Thalen was hurt. It was that he got hurt saving her, and she had no idea why. One evening, Thalen opened his eyes and looked at her. You're still staring at the floor, he said softly. She looked up quickly. I was thinking. Thinking or blaming yourself? She looked away. He sighed. I made the choice. Not you. She didn't answer, so he continued. You were scared. It wasn't your fault. Traps don't care who steps on them, she whispered. But I do. Silence filled the room. Then she stood up and walked to the edge of his bed. I Want to help? Let me change your bandages. Thalen raised one eyebrow. You trained in medicine now? No, but I can learn. He laughed a little, and then winced in pain. Okay, just be gentle. That shoulder's been angry since yesterday. She nodded. Her hands were slow, careful. Her fingers touched his skin, shaking slightly. He watched her face, eyes focused. Jaw tense, hands unsure. She was not a warrior. She was not a healer. But she was trying. As she pressed a clean patch to his chest, she whispered, I didn't know pain had a sound. He looked at her. What do you mean? She didn't stop moving. In my world, pain was silence. No one cried. No one screamed. We just obeyed. But when I saw you on the ground, bleeding, I heard pain for the first time. And it was yours. She stepped back, finished, then added softly, and I hated that it came because of me. Thalen stared at the ceiling. Sometimes pain is the price we pay for something worth it. She frowned. What could possibly be worth pain? He smiled weakly. Knowing someone would sit next to you for 3 days straight, without being told to. She looked down, her cheeks warmed, a soft glow under her blue skin. I didn't want you to wake up alone. He replied gently. Then I didn't. That night, Varel didn't sleep. She sat at the window of the medbay staring at the stars, and said something soft to herself. I used to think humans were careless. But now, I wonder if they just love too hard. Far away, on a ship orbiting the station, a figure in dark robes reviewed a report. Subject Varel displays signs of emotional attachment. Another voice growled, then end it before she forgets her duty. The medbay lights were dim. A soft glow shimmered over the bed where Thalen lay, sleeping lightly, his face calm for the first time in days. Varel sat beside him, knees drawn to her chest. She had not spoken in hours, but her mind was loud. She watched him breathe, each inhale a reminder. He was still here, still alive, because he chose to hurt, instead of letting her die. She stared at the scar just below his ribs. It was fresh, red, ugly, and somehow beautiful. She reached out, gently placed her hand near it, not touching, just feeling the heat of healing. Then whispered, Why did it have to be your skin? That morning, Thalen had joked about human pain. It's like fire inside bone, but you laugh between screams if someone's watching. But she didn't laugh. She didn't understand how someone could joke while bleeding. Now sitting beside him, she didn't want to laugh either. She wanted to feel it. Not because she enjoyed pain, but because she wanted to understand what he gave. She walked to the med table and picked up a clean scanner. Switched the setting to nerve simulation. She looked at her own arm, pale blue, untouched. She set the scanner to level 1, pressed it. A spark of sharp heat shot through her skin. She gasped, dropped the scanner, stumbled back. Her whole arm burned for 10 seconds, then faded, but she didn't cry. She whispered, That's what he felt, and he took 10 times more. The door slid open behind her. Thalen stood at the entrance, one hand against the wall for support. Should I be worried? He asked, voice hoarse. She spun around. You should be in bed. You're burning yourself. She looked down. I needed to know. Why? She looked up at him, eyes glowing soft under the low light. Because I didn't want your pain to be a mystery. I didn't want to be afraid of something you chose for me. He stepped closer, sat on the edge of the chair, tired but steady. He took her wrist gently, scanning the small red mark. It's stupid, he said, but brave. She didn't move. Pain, she said, is more than just feeling. It's memory. He nodded. It's proof something mattered. She leaned closer. Then you must matter a lot. Because I remember every second you were on the ground. Silence. Not awkward. Not cold. Just quiet. like two hearts learning to beat in the same room. Then she asked softly, "If I had died that day, would it still have been worth it?" He looked at her and answered without pause, "Yes, because in that second, I made a choice, not for duty, not for command, just for you." She reached out again. This time her fingers touched the scar, not to trace it, but to honor it. "I never had anyone hurt for me," she whispered. "Now I carry that pain too." Far above, in a surveillance ship cloaked in shadow, a red alert pulsed on a monitor. "Emotional bond confirmed," a voice growled. "Then break the body or the bond." The air inside the Valari council chamber was cold and sharp. No smiles, no warmth, just three robed figures sitting high above on glowing seats, and one alien girl, standing alone below them. Varel kept her hands behind her back. Her robe was clean, her face calm, but inside she was full of fire. The Central Elder spoke first. "We've seen your report, Varel, and we've reviewed your behavior after the incident." Varel nodded once. "Yes, Elder." Another elder leaned forward. "You did not return home when ordered. You stayed in human medical quarters, and now we hear rumors of emotional exchange." Varel didn't reply. She didn't deny it. The third elder said it plainly. "You are bonding with a human soldier." Silence, the kind that weighed on your chest. Finally, Varel said softly, "He saved my life." The elder replied coldly, "He is not Valari. His choices are not our standard." Varel stepped forward, voice low, but steady. "He didn't care about standard. He cared about me." Gasps echoed in the room. The Central Elder stood. "Then we present your choice, Varel." A screen lit up beside her. One side showed her diplomatic record glowing green. Years of training, achievements, future power. The other side showed a short image loop. Thalen, injured, smiling weakly as she held his hand. Choose. Remain loyal to your house, or remain loyal to him. Varel's heart slammed in her chest. This wasn't training. This was war, between duty and something she couldn't name. She closed her eyes and remembered his broken voice, whispering, "You're safe now." His hand shaking as he held hers. The scar, the warmth, the silence they shared. Then she opened her eyes. "I don't reject my people," she said, "but I reject the idea that love makes me weak." The elder stepped forward sharply. "This isn't love. It's something close," she whispered. "Close enough to fight for." The chamber went silent. Then the Central Elder delivered the sentence. "If you return to him, you are no longer one of us." Varel didn't flinch. She stepped back from the platform, took off her robe, folded it slowly, laid it down, then whispered, "He already made me feel like I belong. That's more than you ever did." Later that evening, Thalen sat outside the med bay under the artificial moonlight, sipping lukewarm tea. He didn't know if she would come back. He didn't expect it. Then he heard soft steps, turned, and saw her. Same calm eyes, but something new behind them. Freedom. He blinked. "You okay?" She nodded. "I left everything." He stood slowly. "For what?" She smiled just a little. "For someone." They didn't hug, they didn't cry. They just sat beside each other, quiet and close. High above, a black military ship blinked a red alert. "Target Varel has severed diplomatic ties. Eliminate the bond before it inspires more." The colony sky was dark. Not because of night, but because something massive had blocked the sun. A warship, unmarked, black, dead silent, and it hovered right above Sector 3, where the medical building stood. Inside, Thalen and Varel sat at the window drinking quiet tea. Neither had spoken much since her return from the council, but the silence was warm. She looked at him. Would you have left your people for me? He sipped once, then nodded. If I knew it meant more than they ever gave me, yes, every time. Before she could answer, a warning siren blared. The building shook. Lights flickered. A soldier's voice buzzed through the wall speaker. All units, hostile dropship incoming. Possible bounty-level target. Evacuate now. Varel stood fast. Thalen groaned, grabbing his crutch. He wasn't fully healed, but he was ready to fight. She grabbed his arm. You're not moving alone. As they reached the hallway, smoke filled the vents. A sharp boom hit the front gate. Metal twisted, glass shattered. Varel's ears rang. From the smoke walked 3 armored soldiers. Their visors glowed red. One pointed directly at Thalen. Target identified. Eliminate. Varel didn't think, didn't blink. She stepped in front of him, arms wide. He's not the threat. I am. The soldiers didn't stop. One raised a weapon. Thalen shouted, "Move!" She didn't. The blast fired, and Varel took the hit. Everything slowed. Thalen caught her as she fell. Her body shook, her hands trembled, but she smiled through the pain. Now. We're even. Thalen's rage exploded. He picked up the fallen weapon, fired blindly, hitting one soldier square in the chest. The others retreated as security bots stormed in. Thalen dropped beside her, tore open her uniform. The burn. Mark glowed against her side. Stay with me, he said. I'm still here, she whispered. You kept me alive. Now I returned the fire. Medics rushed in, pulled her onto a stretcher. Thalen held her hand the entire way. Her grip never loosened. Later, as she lay recovering, eyes barely open, he sat at her bedside. He held her fingers gently. You didn't have to do that. She looked up at him. You did it for me. Now I understand. Some pain is worth choosing. He brushed a strand of her hair back. You chose me. She nodded. Every step, every scar. But high above, the warship circled once more. And deep inside its core, a dark voice said, they keep bleeding for each other, then let them die together. The warship was gone, destroyed in the silent dark of space. Thanks to the colony's final defense unit, the attack was over. But the memory, still burning. Inside the medbay, the light was soft. Monitors beeped gently. Varel lay in the bed, wrapped in clean bandages. Her skin still ached. Her side still burned. But she was alive. Breathing. Healing. And she wasn't alone. Thalen sat beside her. His own wounds finally closed, his bones mended. But his heart still carried the image of her stepping in front of the fire. She didn't move, didn't flinch. She chose the pain, just like he once had. Why did you do it? He asked softly. She looked at him, voice calm but sure. Because I knew it would hurt, and I knew it would be worth it. He chuckled, shook his head. You aliens are learning too much. She smiled. Only from the best humans. They sat in silence for a while. No words needed. Only presence. Varel broke the quiet. Do you regret it? That moment in the zone when you jumped? He shook his head. No. She looked at him, curious. Even with the broken ribs, lost blood, weeks of pain? He looked her in the eyes. Even with all of that? Because it gave me something back. What? He smiled. You. She reached out, placed her hand over his. No ceremony, no perfect words. Just warmth. She whispered, in my world, we weren't taught to love, just to serve, to obey, to act correct. He squeezed her hand. Then maybe it's time your world learned something new. Outside the window, stars floated slowly, a calm sky after days of fire. A nurse entered, holding 2 cups. Tea for the heroes. They both smiled. Thalen took a cup. Varel did too. They sipped quietly. Then she asked, What happens now? He leaned back thinking, then said, we live, we walk, we carry the pain like armor, and maybe teach someone else how to survive it. She nodded slowly, then said the words softly like a promise. I'd shield you again, Thalen, even if it broke every bone in me. He looked at her, voice steady. And I'd do it all again, because some things, some people, are worth every pain. Outside, no armies marched, no leaders stood, but somewhere in the galaxy, a new story had been written, not about war, but about choice, not about duty, but about choosing each other, even when it hurts. And that story spread farther than any bullet ever could.